Caitlin Clark had just reached the mountaintop. Crowned WNBA Player of the Year at the 2025 ESPYs, the Indiana Fever superstar was riding a wave of glory few athletes ever touch. Her rise from college icon to professional game-changer had been nothing short of legendary. Fans were buzzing, the league was on fire, and the All-Star Weekend, hosted in her own city, Indianapolis, was meant to be the grand celebration of it all. But sometimes fate doesn't follow the script. Just days after that historic award, everything changed. In a fierce matchup against the Connecticut Sun, Caitlin grimaced, her hand instinctively clutching her side. The camera zoomed in. Fans fell silent. Whispers turned into full-blown panic. Behind the scenes, she had been battling a quiet groin injury, but now it had flared up beyond control. Then came the heartbreak. Caitlin Clark was officially ruled out of All-Star Weekend. No All-Star game, no three-point contest, no shining in front of her home crowd. She poured her heart out online, posting a broken heart emoji and a message filled with sadness and grace. "My health has to come first," she wrote, choosing long-term healing over short-term spotlight. It was supposed to be her stage. Instead, the lights now turned to someone else, a teammate, a quiet sniper, a woman walking into the storm carrying her own pain. And what happened next would flip the narrative completely. Lexi Hull wasn't supposed to be the story. She wasn't the media darling. She didn't have flashy endorsement deals or millions of followers hanging on every word. What she did have was grit, precision, and a season full of quiet excellence from beyond the arc. So when Caitlin Clark pulled out of the All-Star three-point contest, the WNBA didn't need to search far. Lexi Hull got the call. It was a massive ask. She'd be stepping in for the league's biggest name under the brightest lights in her own city. All eyes would be on her, every camera, every critic, every fan. But what they didn't know was that Lexi wasn't just carrying the pressure of expectation. She was carrying something heavier. Just days before she was named Clark's replacement, Lexi suffered a personal heartbreak. Her dog Maggie, her companion of 14 years, passed away. For anyone else, it might have been just a pet. But for Lexi, Maggie had been by her side through every chapter: college, heartbreaks, victories, and now this rising career. She posted a raw, emotional tribute. Black and white photos of the two of them, a caption that read like a eulogy. "Home won't feel the same," she wrote. And yet, in the face of grief, Lexi didn't back down. She suited up. She focused in. And when All-Star Saturday arrived, she stepped onto that court like a woman on a mission. Not just to shoot, but to honor something deeper. The lights were searing, the crowd electrified. But Lexi? Stone-cold calm, silent, ready. And the moment she let that first shot fly, everything changed. Because what she did next, no one was prepared for. The buzzer sounded. Lexi Hull stepped to the rack, and in that instant, the noise disappeared. All that mattered was the ball, the basket, and the memory of what got her here. One shot. Swish. Another. Swish. 5 in a row. The crowd exploded. Fans, who barely knew her name, were now shouting it. "Lexi! Lexi!" echoing through the Indianapolis arena. Social media lit up, highlight clips flying across timelines faster than her release. But behind that perfect form was a storm. Lexi wasn't just shooting for herself. She was shooting for her fallen teammate, for Maggie, for everyone who doubted her quiet game. This wasn't just a contest. It was a statement. And the most powerful part? Sitting courtside, clapping with tears in her eyes, was Caitlin Clark, watching every shot like a proud sister. That moment wasn't just basketball. It was heart, grief, love, and greatness colliding at once. But Lexi wasn't done yet. Not even close. As the contest heated up, Lexi Hull moved through the racks like a machine, focused, unshaken, ice cold. Each release was textbook, the crowd hanging on every rotation of the ball. And with every swish, the volume in that arena climbed. It was no longer just polite applause for a fill-in. It was full-blown admiration. For those few minutes, Lexi didn't just replace Caitlin Clark, she owned the spotlight. She finished second, just one shot away from taking the crown. But here's the twist. That near victory felt like a win. Why? Because Lexi had done something far bigger than hitting jumpers. She'd earned her place. Fans flooded social media calling her the silent sniper. Clips of her form went viral. National analysts, who barely mentioned her before, started dissecting her stroke like she was Steph Curry in disguise. Tweets read, she didn't just fill in, she broke out. Lexi Hull just turned heartbreak into legend. But what made this moment hit harder than stats ever could? Caitlin Clark's reaction. Still nursing her injury, still sidelined, Caitlin stood and applauded every time Lexi hit. She wasn't just clapping like a teammate, she was celebrating like a sister. And when the final shot fell and the contest ended, Caitlin walked straight to Lexi, pulled her into the tightest hug, and didn't let go. That hug, it told the entire story. Two teammates, one in physical pain, the other carrying emotional weight, bonded by something deeper than the game. That hug said, "You carried us tonight. You made us proud. We're in this together." That quote from Caitlin went viral. Lexi held it down for us tonight. She didn't just step in, she stepped up. And just like that, the All-Star Weekend story flipped. What was supposed to be a sad chapter about Caitlin's absence became the beginning of Lexi's rise. But the spotlight hadn't finished revealing its secrets. There was still another thread to pull. And her name, Sophie Cunningham. And what she did next, no one saw coming. While all eyes were glued to Lexi's breakout and Caitlin's comeback trail, there was someone else holding the emotional weight of the entire team together. Sophie Cunningham. Now, fans know Sophie for her grit, her tenacity, her willingness to scrap, dive, defend, like her life depends on it. But behind that fire, there's a heart just as fierce, and this weekend it showed in full force. When Lexi posted that black and white tribute to her dog Maggie, it wasn't just fans who felt the pain. Sophie was one of the first to comment. "No, Lex, I'm so sorry." It wasn't just sympathy. You could feel the care in her words. That one reply hit differently. It wasn't PR. It was real. And the truth is, this wasn't the first time Sophie had stepped in as the protector of her squad. Remember that viral moment earlier in the season when Caitlin took a brutal hit on the court? Sophie charged in without hesitation, ready to defend her rookie like a lioness. She caught a fine for it. She didn't flinch. No regrets, no apologies. Because for Sophie, loyalty isn't optional. It's who she is. Behind the scenes, she's been the anchor, the emotional backbone of the Fever. When things got rough, Sophie didn't just show up. She stood tall, shielding Lexi from the weight of expectation, encouraging Caitlin to heal without guilt, and reminding both of them that no one fights alone. She wasn't trying to be the face of the franchise. She was the soul of it. Fans took notice. They started calling the trio Tres Leches, sweet like the dessert, but strong enough to handle anything. 3 women, 3 roles, 1 unbreakable bond. And when Sophie showed up to practice in a custom-made shirt, cartoon versions of herself, Caitlin, and Lexi in their Fever jerseys, the internet exploded. That shirt wasn't just merch, it was a message. We ride together, we rise together. But Sophie wasn't finished. She had one more move, one that would cement this sisterhood in the hearts of millions. And it was about to happen off the court in a way no one could have predicted. It started like any other post-game night. The Fever had just wrapped up a media session. Lexi, still riding high from her all-star breakout, had ducked into the tunnel. Caitlin was courtside, still in street clothes, signing autographs with a quiet smile. Sophie? She was doing what she always did, making sure her teammates were good before she even thought about herself. But then it happened. A young fan, barely 8 years old, ran up holding a homemade sign. Scrawled in messy marker were just 3 words. Tres Leches forever. And that's when the magic hit. Sophie saw the sign, turned to Caitlin and Lexi, and without a word pulled them both in for a hug. Cameras captured it from the perfect angle. Caitlin with tears in her eyes, Lexi with her arm around Sophie's waist, and Sophie quietly holding them both. The image was posted online within minutes, and it went viral instantly. Fans weren't just retweeting, they were feeling it. The comments poured in. This isn't just basketball anymore. This is what real leadership looks like. I showed this to my daughters. Within 24 hours, the picture hit every sports page. ESPN ran it with the headline, "The Sisterhood That's Redefining the WNBA." Talk shows debated whether this was the new era, not of dynasties, but of unity. TikTok clips flooded in, edits of the trio's season highs and lows set to emotional music, fans sharing their own stories of friendship and loss. Some called it the most human moment the WNBA had seen in years. But for the Fever, it wasn't a media stunt. This was real life. 3 women brought together by chance, staying together by choice. The world finally saw it. This team had heart. And Sophie Cunningham? She was its heartbeat. But as the love poured in, the pressure mounted. Caitlin's injury status was still unknown. Lexi had the spotlight now, but could she keep it? And Sophie, was she ready to lead not just emotionally, but on the scoreboard too? The next game was looming, and so was the biggest test of their bond yet. Because moments go viral, but legacies, those are forged in the fire of what comes next. The Fever's next matchup wasn't just any game. It was against the Las Vegas Aces, the defending champs, the bullies of the league. And they weren't about to let a team riding an emotional high waltz in with momentum. The stakes? Sky high. No Caitlin Clark on the floor. Lexi Hall, freshly thrust into stardom. And Sophie Cunningham? She was expected to be the enforcer, the leader, and the engine, all at once. From the first whistle, it was brutal. The Aces came out swinging, pressing hard, bodying up, trying to rattle the Fever. They thought without Caitlin, the team would fall apart. And honestly, for a moment, it looked like they were right. Missed shots, miscommunication, turnovers. But then something shifted. With 6 minutes left in the second quarter, Lexi drilled a deep three, her signature shot, and didn't even celebrate. She just stared down the bench, stone cold. Then, Sophie intercepted a pass, sprinted the full length of the court, and dove, literally dived, out of bounds to save it. She got up with a bloody elbow, spit on the ground, and screamed, "Let's go!" And the Fever? They woke up. The team tightened up like a fist, every player locked in, every pass suddenly sharper, every shot more confident. They were playing like they had something bigger to prove, like they weren't just carrying their record, but their sisterhood. By the fourth quarter, it wasn't just about winning. It was about sending a message. We are not Caitlin only. We are a unit. The crowd, which had started nervous, was now a riot. Fans stood the entire final 5 minutes chanting, "Trace, lay chase, trace, lay chase," like it was a playoff game. Sophie nailed a mid-range jumper to give them the lead. Lexi iced it at the line. Final buzzer, Fever 78, Aces 74. Upset complete. The team huddled mid-court, arms around each other, sweat pouring, hearts pounding. And in that huddle, Sophie looked at her girls and said, "This one was for Caitlin." Lexi, tears in her eyes, nodded. The cameras caught it all. It was more than a win, it was a statement. The Fever weren't just surviving, they were evolving. And the league had no idea what was coming next.
In the days that followed that victory over the Aces, something incredible happened. Not just in Indiana, not just across the WNBA, but everywhere. The Fever's story caught fire, not because of a buzzer beater, not because of highlight dunks, or record-breaking stats, but because of something real, something the world could feel in their gut. Loyalty, loss. Love.social media flooded with hashtags, like hashtag TRESLECHES, hashtag for Caitlin, and hashtag Do It for Maggie. Fans weren't just rooting for a team anymore. They were invested in a sisterhood. Sports outlets picked it up to ESPN, called them the soul of the WNBA. Bleacher Report ran a feature titled, "When Teammates Become Family, the Fevers. Blueprint for Heart-Driven Dominance." And Caitlin, still sidelined, still healing. But now, she wasn't just the centerpiece of the Fever. She was the heartbeat, watching from the sideline. Watching her girls carry her spirit with every pass. Every rebound, every fearless dive on the floor, Lexi Hall, no longer a fill-in, now dubbed the Silent Sniper. Sophie Cunningham, no longer just a defender, now seen as the shield, the one who fights when her teammates can't. And together, they became more than teammates. They became a movement, one that said, you don't need to score 30 points to make an impact. You don't need to be the loudest to be a leader. And when life hits hard, your team can become your home. Young girls started showing up to games wearing custom Tres Leches shirts. Some even brought signs that said, "For Maggie," with paw prints. Others wrote, "Real teams cry together." The Fever had gone from underdogs to something sacred. And while everyone waits for Caitlin Clark's return, there's a new understanding in the air. The Fever are no longer a one-player show. They are a bond, a force, a family. So when Caitlin does return, whenever that moment comes, she's not coming back to carry her team. She's coming back to join a sisterhood that never let her fall. And for fans across the globe, one thing became beautifully clear. This is not just basketball. This is what the game looks like when it's played with heart.